Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, before I get started, I want to let you all know that hopefully sometime later this week or this weekend, I plan to do a Google Hangout with some attorneys who represent Corinne Gaines. She's the sister who was killed by police in Baltimore County, and they have a civil suit that's pending. They're going through the trial now in that case. So I plan to talk to the attorneys that are involved in the case. I know two of the attorneys, and I want to talk to them about how the trial went and everything. They should conclude the case hopefully today or tomorrow, but look out for that. It's going to be a Google Hangout. It's going to be on my I Declare War channel, but I'm going to repost it on this channel as well. So y'all look out for that. But for this video right here, I want to talk about Umar Johnson. Now, yesterday I saw a video that Anti-Afro Svengali posted about Umar Johnson, and she referenced a video that Lennon Arner did. And in Lennon Arner's video, he was talking about Umar Johnson making some controversial statements about his baby's mother and his baby's grandmother. And I said, well, I have to check this out for myself. I need to hear it from the horse's mouth instead of just relying on people's interpretations of what he said. So I went directly to YouTube and I was searching for these videos and I found them. And I'll post links in the description box for you all to watch for yourself. And I'll post links to Anti-Afro Spengali's video and Lennon Arner's video as soon as I get a chance. But in the videos, Umar Johnson is on Instagram and he's complaining about his baby's mother not allowing him to see his daughter. And he's complaining about his baby's grandmother participating in that as well. And then this man goes on to talk about his child support issues, basically saying that he's not paying child support because he's being denied the right to see his daughter. And then he goes on to ask his followers, to ask his sicko fans, to ask his flunkies to go to his baby's mother's place of employment, her place of business, and ask her why she won't let him see his daughter. And to ask the grandmother that as well. Now, he provides information about where she works, the location. He provides her name. And if I'm not mistaken, he even provides the grandmother's name. And he encourages his followers to ask them why this mother is preventing him from seeing his daughter. Now, in full disclosure, like during his comments, he says, well, be respectful when you ask these questions. This is the mother of my child, so be respectful. So this is what I have to say about this. First of all, it is irresponsible and reckless to put out private information about your baby's mother, telling people where she works. That's going to subject her to harassment from your groupies, from your flunkies. And that's just unacceptable and unintelligent, especially coming from someone who professes to be a quote unquote prince of Pan-Africanism. A man who professes to have all this love and respect for black women, but he's essentially encouraging his supporters to harass his baby's mother. And that's ridiculous. And in a worst case scenario, you don't know who's going to approach your baby mother. It could be some deranged person, that has this information, thereby jeopardizing the mother of your child and your child's grandmother and possibly your child. It is stupid for someone to do something like that. And someone that would do something so reckless and irresponsible like that, they're not fit to lead anything. Their emotional stability is questionable. A man should be guided by reason and logic. And one of the man's first priorities should be the protection of his family, the protection of his children. And regardless of, your issues with your baby's mother, you shouldn't want any kind of harm or any kind of harassment to befall her. As somebody that professes to have so much love for black people and black women in particular. Now, the second point that I want to make is this. This does not help your case at all, going on social media and asking your flunkies to harass this woman. that doesn't help your case for the right to visitation or your child support case at all. In fact, what it does is it helps to rationalize why this mother doesn't want you to see your daughter. So that's one thing. That matter should be handled in court. You have an attorney, and I'm sure if you have competent counsel, they're probably advising you not to discuss these matters on social media. It should be litigated in a court of law and not before social media. So that's just common sense. Now, and I just think it's weak to ask your people, your supporters, to do something like that. You already know why this woman is not allowing you to see your children, your daughter. You don't need to have some random strangers asking your baby's mother why you can't see your daughter. You don't need that. So yeah, I mean that's one thing, and then also I want to talk about this whole issue of visitation and linking it to child support, because basically Umar Johnson said, well, since I'm not allowed to see my daughter, I'm not going to pay child support. First of all, those two issues are completely separate. They're not linked to each other. You have a legal obligation to pay for the support of your child, and that's separate. Like in most courts, that's a separate matter. At least like here in Maryland, and I'm assuming that it's similar in Pennsylvania, but those are two different issues. Like the right to visit your child is separate from the right to, child support, and they're litigated separately and resolved separately. So to withhold child support, it's just irresponsible, man. Regardless of your visitation rights, you have a legal and moral obligation to provide for your children. And there are issues with child support, and I understand those issues in terms of the amounts that people are receiving for child support. Often it far exceeds what a child needs to have a healthy and productive life. I understand that. I get that. But to deprive your child of support because the mother is refusing to allow you to visit the child, that's just wrong. I mean, it's wrong for a mother to refuse to allow a father to visit his child or to see his child. Obviously, that's wrong. But it's also wrong to withhold support from your child based on the conduct of the mother. The child is innocent in the situation. The child should not be punished because of your problems with the baby's mother. Now, so that's one thing. And then instead of rejecting or refusing to provide child support, you should provide, like a man should just provide the child support, regardless of the visitation issues, and then use the courts to try to obtain rights to visit the child. And, I think that most men should try to receive joint legal and physical custody of their kids. That ensures that they are actively involved in their children's life. I think that that's what most men should do. They should fight for it. They should fight for it. Even if they lose, they should put up that fight and try to obtain that, and do everything that they can legally to obtain the rights to visit and see their child. Use the court system, not social media, to obtain those types of rights. So, that's one thing. And I think that it is bad that you have women out here that will deny a man the right to see his children out of bitterness or because of some issues that they may have with the father, personal issues. So I think that that's fundamentally wrong, because there are women out there who are manipulative like that. There are women out here who literally use their children as tools to get back at the father. And that's fundamentally wrong. And the best way to address that is through the court system. And, I just think that it's not a manly trait to gripe and complain about personal issues on social media, man. I think that that's just not a masculine trait, man. I think that a man shouldn't be overly emotional like that, and he should rely on his counsel to address those types of issues, to address those legal issues and those personal issues. And by discussing your personal issues, you're basically opening up things for discussion. You're making people question your sincerity. I mean, because how can you lecture people about how to conduct family life or how to conduct their relationships and all these major important issues when your own affairs are in complete disarray? You can't lecture black men about being loyal to black women when you are not loyal to black women, when you're not in any kind of real relationship that we can see. You know, you're not married to any of your baby's mothers, or you never been married to them. So how can you talk to black men about committing to a black woman under those circumstances? How can you talk about the role of men when you're admitting that you are not providing child support for one of your children? So it brings everything into question by raising up these personal issues and trying to settle and discuss them on social media. All it does is harm you even further. It destroys your brand. Your brand is already trashed right now, and this just makes it worse because not only are you discussing these personal matters, you are jeopardizing the mother of your children and the child's grandmother and possibly your child by engaging in this conduct. And I think that it speaks to your lack of accountability. It speaks to your poor leadership qualities and your poor personal character as a man. So that's all I have to say about this, man. It's just a shame that you had these people out here that purport to be the Prince of Pan-Africanism, purport to be, the best, the most requested, and this and that, when they can't even handle their own affairs. I mean, if they can't handle their own affairs, how can they be entrusted with leadership of the black community?